And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone and Sean Anderson. Today we're going to be talking about possible rumors of Matthew Stafford being on the move. Travis Kelce, should he retire or not, reacting to his comments made on his podcast, New Heights. And we're going to get to a little later on. I was unexpected that Dak Prescott had comments referring to the Cowboys as being close to the Philadelphia Eagles, who just won the Super Bowl. Going to be a lot to talk about there. Sean, before we jump into it, can you share with our listeners a quick word from BetOnline?
I'd love to. Great cold open, Joe. Fantastic. That's how it's done, everybody.
That's not really a cold open.
Beautiful open. I don't know. Lead in, intro.
Open?
Yeah, I'll give you open on that. That was stellar. BetOnline. That's where you want to be betting on all this crazy ass hockey that's going to be taking place in the 4 Nations League. You want to bet on Canada? Trader, go ahead. You do that. I'm going to bet on Tom Wilson to knock somebody out in the first game. I don't know if he's on the team, but if you want to watch some hockey, bet on hockey and do it at BetOnline. That's what you want to be doing. College basketball heating up. Watch some college basketball with Joe this week. Work through some confusion. Talked to a little coach. I don't know, Coach Beards, Coach Hare. A lot of weirdness in college basketball with the SEC being good. Every 3-pointer to hat trick. BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.
All right, Sean, thank you so much. First news that I want to get to today was one that was very entertaining to track over the past couple of days. It's total batshit beginning of the NFL offseason type of news. Matthew Stafford, there's speculation that he could be leaving the Rams via trade this offseason. Now, I don't know what would incline the Rams to do this. He's 37 years old. He played great in the playoffs, minus them finishing a little bit slow and not being able to perform well in the snow. I don't know why they try to move on from him. But since the Giants hired this is per Adam Schefter, Jaguars and Bills wide receivers coach Chad Hall as their assistant QB coach, everybody has been pushing this narrative that the New York Giants are going to trade for Matthew Stafford. Hall is Matthew Stafford's brother-in-law. That is the significance of this. As a overly optimistic Giants fan, I don't understand why we're putting ourselves through this pain. I don't understand why we're putting ourselves through believing into something that is not actually going to happen. Colin Cowherd said on a show, though, and I'm always a little bit skeptical to trust his sourcing. He said on the show, the Giants do not like the quarterback class. Brian Daboll, the head coach, and Joe Shane, the GM, have got to win or they'll be fired by Thanksgiving. They're going to get run out of the building because if they don't have a quarterback, Washington is now big-time. Philadelphia will steamroll them. The Packers, the Bears, the Rams, NFC's getting better. The Giants have some good players, so they're going to make a move, I believe, on Matt Stafford. You think there's any shot this is real?
Well, Matt Stafford's wife went on a podcast or did a podcast and talked about how she loves what we've done with LA and everything they've done for him, but we love an adventure. And that means I don't mind moving. I don't mind packing up the house
I didn't know about this.
And moving the kids around. So I don't know if it's a money thing. I don't know if it's a security thing. These quarterbacks, when they get over 35, they need to sit their families down and say, hey, it's not like it used to be. Price of the brick going down for me. It's not going up. So everyone just calm down. I'm going to start moving around as a journeyman. Like Flacco, I'm sure had to have that conversation. He needed to. And look at him. He's been a hero. But the family hysterics and drama surrounding this irritate me. The fact that you're pitching me that he might go to the Giants and get his legs snapped at MetLife.
Whoa.
That's really rough. I love Matt Stafford. I love everything he's done for the game. He's been a consistent quarterback, big arm, ballsy in Detroit, gave everything to that city when they were an awful team. LA Super Bowl, great. Consistency, made the most out of Cooper Kupp, helped develop Puka Nacua. So great. Love Matthew Stafford. Stay away from New York. Just retire before you go play for the Giants.
Okay.
That's what my advice to him would be.
The main part that I brought up at the beginning, I think, is what leads this conversation and ends it immediately. There's no likelihood that the Rams are going to try and get rid of him.
No.
Why would they? He is the center of their success. He's why this team was able to win a Super Bowl. His performance hasn't dropped off. They were competitive and they were hot at the end of the season because of him. Why is there this sudden belief just because they're trading Cooper Kupp that they're on this teardown? The other thing that was brought up, and I think Cowherd brought this up, the Rams going and getting Aaron Rodgers. Why would I move Matthew Stafford to bring in Aaron Rodgers, a guy who was a mess this year and was decrepit and physically unable to perform at the level that we were used to seeing? He looked like an old ass man. Why would that be the solution? It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. Rodgers, 4 years older. The Rams are so weird because remember that year they won 9 games with Goff and they were trying to melt the whole thing down, and they still won 9 games. They missed the playoffs. They gone to the Super Bowl the year before, I believe, and they just kept on going to the playoffs afterwards. They have this weird hair trigger to push the blow it all up button. I don't understand it. They're a good team. They constantly draft well. They have one of the best coaches in the sport, and they have the model of consistency at quarterback. He doesn't have the same arm he had when he was 27. I wouldn't expect him to. If you're really concerned about shoulder injury, then just say that. Just say, hey, yeah, the health isn't
that a
there
concern,
anymore.
though?
I think that he had some residual injury from the year before this year. It was reported that Staffy had a bit of a bum arm, but he played the whole season. I thought he was going to get knocked out by week 4. He was like the one guy on the Rams that stayed healthy.
Right.
So with that, I'm keeping my money on the table. I'm letting it ride. And I think the smart play, just find the quarterback that you like the most that won't be in the first round, stick them behind. Maybe you can get them to develop and grow behind Stafford and have like at least a contingency plan.
Well, yeah, I guess you could, maybe not in the first round, but like if you like the options of some of these higher ceiling dudes that you could take a shot on day 3 or day 2, you could take Quinn Ewers, who, like, let's be real, physically, you could get out of Quinn Ewers what you get out of Matthew Stafford right now. The mental capacity and the processing is not the same. The decision-making is not the same, but you never know. You could get a little bit of rub off. If you took him in the 3rd round, I think that there's very low risk for making a move like that. But yeah, you're right. Stafford being who you're going to trust until you run him into the ground. It's like having a reliable car.
Yeah.
The car got you to insane heights. It took you everywhere you needed to take you, maybe in a short period of time when you bought it. You've only had it for, 4 or 5 years. But when the thing's not there yet, but you know it's coming, that it's going to stop working, that one day you're going to have to take it to the junkyard, drive it until it gets to the junkyard. Don't waste the money on the brand new Mercedes now. Try and run the one that you have into the ground.
I love that. You know why? I'm living it. That's what I got. I know my car's 22 plus years old. It's still running. I could get a little money out of it right now. It's not worth it because it's still running.
I would pray for anyone who buys that car.
No, that car is good. It's got 4 new struts in it. It's still under 200,000 miles. Got a new AC compressor. We've done some work with this car to keep it active. I think that keeping Stafford active is a fine play. And you're still being a little hard on Quinn, lest we forget Matt Stafford was a big Georgia dummy when he was coming out of college.
But
also.
he was good.
He was good.
He was good.
He was.
He was really good at Georgia. And then early on in his career, he was pretty good with a really shit team around him. So there was not a lot for him to do there. So his performance wasn't related to him. It was related to his surroundings. So they're not that similar. But both big armed. That's about it.
Put Quinn in LA. Draft McMillan out of Arizona. We've got
awful.
Stafford to Megatron 2.0. This is how we're building.
Ted McMillan is not Megatron.
Is he the biggest receiver in this class?
Is that it? Is that all that? Is that every Megatron for you? Every Calvin Johnson?
Okay.
Just, hey, who's the biggest guy? Box checked.
Megatron
Calvin Johnson.
Okay, is there a Megatron in this class?
No.
Yeah, of course
there hasn't
not.
been one in the last 20 years.
I agree.
That's an insane shot to throw
you
out
gotta
there.
try to make some type of comp. This is a double force
hopes
comp.
up. All right, the last part about this where you were super mean and negative about him going to the Giants. If there was, say they were sick of him and he's just Stafford's a locker room cancer and they don't need him anymore. They're just, we got to get rid of him. We got to get rid of him. It's like Luka. They just really hate him. They need to trade him. I think he's fat and lazy. yeah, the Giants would be the perfect spot for him to go to. The Giants are really desperate. You could fleece them for a lot of draft capital to make this move happen because they very, very, very badly, like Cowherd illustrated in this quote, need a solution immediately. And them giving up a shitload of capital for a very short-term return is something that the Giants would 1,000% do. I, as a Giants fan, I think I'd be pretty happy with it because you trade this away and then maybe you spend a little bit of money on a guy like Trey Smith in free agency. Mm-hmm. Boom, you put some Band-Aids on your offense and it can actually run a little bit.
I think Trey Smith is more than a Band-Aid. I'll give you that if you make a play for him. Why don't you just make a push for Darnold?
Ryan's being mean.
He's being real mean. Look, mid-afternoon on Thursday, we're trying to get
the second time we've been live.
We're trying to get the cycle going here, RR. But I think you guys might as well make a push for Darnold if you're going to make a push for Stafford, because I don't want to see what you're going to do to Stafford. Because for some reason, you keep on drafting these offensive linemen. I like them when they're coming out of college. You don't develop them. You don't do anything with them. Their feet don't
Andrew
improve.
Thomas improved significantly. His first year, he was awful. He got better. A lot better. Evan Neal's a different story, and it's, I think, a mental thing. It
concerns me. I'd rather see you...
He's been hurt. That's the only issue.
I'd rather see you burn a different quarterback that doesn't have an emotional attachment to being a legend of the game. Give me a Jimmy G.
Stafford's a legend of the game. I don't know if I call him a legend of the game. He's not even in the top 10 quarterbacks of all time. Maybe not even top 20.
I put him fringe.
He's a quarterback of all time.
Yeah, he is. Hey, he won a Super Bowl. Only 59 of those out there.
And it's an accomplishment, but is Joe Flacco one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time?
Look, I'm saving the Flacco stuff for when Matt Ryan's first eligible for the Hall of Fame, because I'm ready to trash Matt Ryan and compare him to Flacco.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Stafford's better than Flacco. We would agree on that. And I think that Stafford would probably be top 50 all time, maybe in that 40 to 50 range.
That's overly generous. That's like, oh, hey, here's a really here's a very wide, low bar that he just needs to cross. That's it. Oh, top 50? Yeah, he's top. I'd maybe go.
There's been a lot of quarterbacks that we start fleshing out a list of the
top 30. Let's try to be a little bit more specific. Because he has had statistically a lot of fantastic seasons. He hasn't won an MVP. He actually has a very low number of Pro Bowls, which is very odd.
I don't mind top 30 because that means that he's the best Detroit Lions quarterback of all time, which I believe
he's one of the best Rams quarterbacks of all time.
I would agree.
I put him second behind Kurt Warner. Who am I missing there?
Yeah, Kurt's ahead of him. He's definitely ahead of Goff. I don't know if there's another Rams quarterback that I'm
No, they haven't exactly had success at quarterback.
But you got to remember, if we're doing 30, then we might as well do 32. There's more than one San Francisco quarterback better than him. There's more than one Dallas quarterback all time better than him.
This would be one of the worst segments if we just tried to name 30 quarterbacks.
Oh,
I think that'd be really entertaining.
I think our 30s would be starkly different. That would not be fun.
Yeah, I'm not going to waste my time sitting here trying. You got to do like a little bit of research before trying to rip off one of those lists. All right, Sean, there has been a lot of talking heads weighing in on Travis Kelce's future. His performance in the Super Bowl, it was underwhelming. And on his New Heights podcast, it's the pinnacle of podcasting. He said, I know everybody wants to know whether I'm playing next year. And right now, I'm just kicking everything down the road. I'm kicking every can I can down the road. God, he's so articulate, said Kelce, a 3-time Super Bowl champ. I am not making any crazy decisions, but right now the biggest thing is just being there for my teammates and being there for my coaches, understanding there's a lot that goes into this thing. Man, this is really just very meathead, but it's very meatheaded the way that he phrased it. I've been fortunate over the past 5-6 years. I've played more football than anybody. He went on to kind of point out that, you know, getting to the Super Bowl every year has been an extra toll on his body. It's been like a whole extra season. Do you think he should retire? I kind of lean on the side that he should.
It's time. We know it's time. But can he give up the fame of being an NFL player and then have to come to grips with acting classes and vocal classes?
Do you think that's where he goes next?
He already signed like a contract with an acting agency to try to get that taken off. So that's going to be a whole different commitment for him. Here's why he wouldn't have retired, I think. This is going to sound real crass, but if he didn't start dating that lady, I don't think he would have retired.
That's a way to put it.
because she's got him being a socialite, going to Wimbledon and drinking and eating and boozing and doing all the party stuff. Whereas if we're just going to look into a different sport, and I know he's the pinnacle, but LeBron isn't doing all that. He's investing so much into his body. You look at other NFL greats that are still active right now, over 30, like Derrick Henry. The amount of routine that he puts into his year-to-year nutrition, fitness, physical therapy, it's absurd. It's like, I think it eclipses like $900,000 a year that he's putting in just of his own money to keep himself healthy and fresh. I don't think Travis Kelce's doing that. I think he was just enjoying the ride. Yeah. Great for him. That's exactly what I would have been doing if I was playing in the league. How much of a legend?
Also dating the most popular female artist in the country at the time.
If I made it to year 8, if I ever made it to year 8 in the hypothetical NFL that I made it to, you would never have seen a bigger piece of shit walking into training camp every single year. Gold jacket or not, I made it. So now I'm the vet. I'm gonna be doughy coming into camp. I know the Tony Gonzalez quote. Hey, I know how to run a 10 and in. I know how to do that stuff. Leave me out of this training camp BS. I'll show up before the first preseason game.
I think the way that you talked about this is a really good point to address how he's performed over the past few years from 2016 to 2022. He eclipsed 1,000 yards. The last 2 years have been the clear regression. 984, 823. He's starting to regress. Now, those are still pretty good tight end numbers that he put up. Like this past year was 97 receptions, 823 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
He had 97 catches this year.
There's not.
Nuts.
Well, this is why I think that when we watched the Chiefs and everybody was weighing in on the Chiefs, it was, man, the offense just doesn't have the same juice. Yeah, it's because Patrick Mahomes keeps throwing the ball to Kelce, and Kelce can barely move. Yeah. He's not the same guy. The 2 parts on why he needs to retire, visibly on the field, you can see the guy doesn't have the same level of juice that he used to. He was known as being a really athletic tight end.
He was a yak guy.
That had great long speed, that was a separator, not a good blocker. The tight ends that have longevity in the league, I think, are the physical ones, are the guys that win through contact in the red zone. That's never really been Travis Kelce. I mean, shit, Gronk, who was super physical, got knocked out of the league much quicker because he couldn't sustain the amount of injuries that he did. But the last part about this, he is clearly super invested in his personal life and the perks that his personal life brings now that he is in a completely different world of being the most well-known. Maybe would it be crazy to say he's the most well-known NFL player just in the world because he's dating Taylor Swift? Is that too hyperbolic? I think that makes sense because he's Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
Here's the thing: the sample size changes, or the investigation changes because the person he's competing with is also on his team and also affiliated with all the Swift madness.
But I don't think many people would be able to say like, oh, I know who Patrick Mahomes is.
Yeah, but Kelce's not in the Gatorade ads. He's not in the Adidas ads. He has plenty of it. That's a great question. Who's more well known, Kelce or Mahomes?
But to this point,
it might be Kelce because of the women.
But to this point, he very clearly is enjoying it as much as possible, and he should. He's at the end of his career. There's no reason for him to be grinding it out unless he was really that dedicated to football, and it's clear that he's not. He's not, and I don't care if that makes me an asshole for questioning his commitment to the sport, but it is not as much of a priority as it should be if he was trying to play multiple more seasons. If he was fully committed to this, he would have outright said it. He would have said, I'm already starting to train. I'm already getting ready to go.
Yeah.
You mentioned LeBron. LeBron doesn't get distracted with things like this. You know, you're not going to see him. You see him out and about, but he doesn't visibly ever look out of shape. He doesn't visibly ever look like he has lost a step. He, at the age of over 40, has been performing at an elite level still. Not the same level that we're used to seeing, but still at a great level. If Kelce wanted to go for the long haul and for the longevity of playing a ridiculously long career, his actions would have been different. It's time to just tap out. It's all good, man. You got your ass kicked in the Super Bowl. It didn't end the way that you wanted it to. Don't be like your brother and try and keep chasing this thing until it gets run into the ground.
I think that's the nicest way that we could have ever had this conversation, which is saying, yeah.
Or what's the mean way?
Well, he's fat and he's slow and he dropped a bunch of passes in the Super Bowl and he was loafing in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And pointing out all the real negatives that a lot of these people want to point out. But just noticing that it's time. I think that is a fair, objective way to look at, one of the best tight ends of all time's career. And I hope they get Kyle Pitts for a 5th-round draft pick, and they just go to the Super Bowl again next year. And I watch a number 4 overall pick become.
Jared Wiley's next up, man. Jared Wiley from TCU's next up. That dude can move.
He's got some juice.
Yeah, I think it's time to pack it in. He's time has passed him by. Go enjoy following your girlfriend around at all of her concerts and stuff, and you'll have a great life.
It's great.
He's
Stop making your brother cry on podcasts, please. That was uncomfortable.
Sean, Dak had interesting comments this week. The setting of the comments was kind of funny. I always laugh when athletes give quotes like this that end up creating headlines when they're at like fundraisers. He was at a children's cancer fund event, and they were asking him a lot of like digging questions. I want to know what reporters were like. We need to get to the facts at this cancer fund for children. We need to hear from Dak Prescott. Who's going there to cover it this way? I'd be pissed off if I was Dak.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be a little bit pissed off. But the comments that he had that we're, of course, going to react to. I feel like we compete with the Eagles and we beat them for the most part when we play them. I don't want to say check the record when they're the guys holding the Lombardi trophy right now. Credit to them. They earned it and they deserve it by all means. To see them do it in such a dominating fashion, credit to them. It's our turn. It's on us. He's not directly saying that they're really close, but he's basically trying to say, like, hey, we could beat him if we wanted to. I don't know how Dak could say that. Their lack of success was not just because of his injury. They stunk at the beginning of the year.
Real bad.
Ryan Schottenheimer's not getting you over the hump to suddenly now go on this long stride to compete with the Eagles. You also got to deal with the Commanders, who look phenomenal at the current moment. There's no way to believe, and I know that this is the typical offseason speak of reacting to a offhanded comment from a quarterback, but there's no reason that anyone should believe that the Cowboys are anywhere close to the Philadelphia Eagles.
They're not. I'm going to poke a hole in this because now that I have new context, I did not know he was at a children's cancer fund event. I mean, this quote has now changed for me to arrogant negligence to optimism is all around me. And that's what I'm pushing out because I don't think if you ask the same question to Dak Prescott,
he's kind of trying to get
after he
out.
got injured, he would probably say, yeah. When he was on the sidelines in Atlanta, getting quoted saying we effing suck. That's what he really thinks. But he's trying to be a beacon, somebody that instills hope, a role model. He's surrounded by a bunch of kids with cancer. He's not going to come out here and say we're bashing the team. If the Cowboys have a chance, you have a chance. So I get why he said this statement.
That's an interesting way to frame it.
They are nowhere close to Philly, though. They are not even in the same ballpark. At times this past year, it looked like they were playing different sports, where Philly knew what football was, as annoying as their coach is. Whereas on the flip side, Dallas, supreme athletes all over the place, looks like they're trying to play pickleball with a football. It was just very confusing. It starts from the top down with Dallas. It always will. And that is the burden that Jerry Jones has brought onto himself. We're not picking on Jerry. We love him as an actor. We love him as an NFL character. But when we come to roster construction, the Jones family has dropped the ball year after year, I'd say since drafting CeeDee Lamb. That was the last home run. Since drafting Micah. That was the last home run that they hit as a team.
Yeah, they've been awful at. Was Tyler Smith after Micah?
Tyler Smith was, but I'm giving them, I'm not adding that because they historically draft so great on the offensive line. I have that almost as a prerequisite. That's what they're going to do for eternity.
Right. Again, I don't want to be like overly critical to Dak on this because, again, he was at a fundraiser and he was trying to promote an event. And you have to answer these questions sometimes when you're trying to get recognition for the event and for people to come to it and for the media to cover it. But it's really, it's one of the stupidest parts about the offseason that there are settings like this created. I kind of roll my eyes at reporters who think that this is the opportunity for them
I'm going to get the jump. I'm going to get the offseason beat. No,
I'm going to get the big scoop. The direct comments, though, it couldn't be more obvious that there is a very wide margin. The Cowboys are closer to what the Giants are right now than they are to the Eagles.
Yes.
They are a roster that is devoid of playmakers, devoid of premier offensive linemen, and devoid of dominant defensive athletes. Just what Philly did this year of being loaded front to back with explosive dudes all over their team. They don't even have the depth that a team like this, like the Eagles have. They're so far off. I don't think that there really is a future in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years that they even get to the Super Bowl. I really do not think, with the way that the roster construction has been approached, the hiring of head coaches, Schottenheimer's not going to get you there. To believe that they're even touching what Philly did this season and what they're going to be able to do over the next 5, because they just keep drafting so well. And again, they have young quality depth at certain positions that just keeps getting better and better. It's going to take over a decade to actually get in the same position that Philly is.
They have to get in the long haul. And while Dak may have been optimistic, Micah not as optimistic. He is itching to get going. He said this week, I don't want to sit back and watch other teams build and us stay the same. I want to see us become aggressive and get some players that will make an impact, as you should. Fair comments. I'm ready to pick apart Micah Parsons for having a podcast and that being a distraction and all that whenever I can. That's fair for Micah Parsons. He's a all-pro type player. You should expect more from your team, especially because it's America's team. Who was their number 2 wide receiver this year, Joe? Because at times it was no dig here. SEMO's very own Ryan Flournoy. Like that.
Hey,
big
respect
ups.
Flournoy.
I've heard it be pronounced like since the combine as Flournoy. I always thought it was Flournoy.
He's a good FCS player.
Very good. And I think he can stay in the league. That's great. Who is their second option on the offense? Was it Rico Dowdle? And secondly, on Rico Dowdle, is he the running back? You're running back one
Brandon
next
Cooks
year?
Probably. But so this is the problem, is they don't have a good second receiver. They don't have a good running back. And outside of Tyler Smith, Tyler Guyton showed some positive signs. But Zach Martin's, talk about a car with the wheels falling off.
Yeah.
It's time to replace him and for him to retire or whatnot. But he isn't. No, he's still playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he was banged up this year. There is so many position groups that need to be addressed.
Where's the tight end? Where's the great Dallas tight end? Oh, we're just going to hey, Dalton Schultz, you just had a career year. We're going to send you to the Texans and let you go there. You know who we got coming in? Quirked up Jake Ferguson, who I think is dating a Cavender.
He is the other Cavender twin.
Is that what we want? We want Jake Ferguson.
He's got a crispy beard fade, though.
Luke Schoonmaker and Brevin Spanford were the other tight ends.
Spanford's fine. Big. He's big as shit.
He's not the Dallas tight end that we've known to come in. He's not
big
Schultz.
As shit.
He's not Witten. He's not somebody that could come in and actually be that Cowboys tight end that can go vertically 10 yards, turn around, and catch a first down.
You know what would be an interesting pick for them in the draft is if they took Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren would be an interesting pick. That would solve some things. They get a little bit of offensive juice.
Tyler Warren would become a league villain on that team because he would take over. He would have juice, but he'd be on the Cowboys. And I think he's got a little bit of flair and a little bit of feel for the eccentric. He likes to flex his muscles.
He's got the long, greasy hair. Forget
greasy hair.
Ferguson, who's too busy getting everything all faded out and crisped up.
Yeah.
I want long, greasy hair tight end. That's what if my tight end, and this is why Travis Kelce's gotten worse. You see him every single time on the sideline. He just looks like he got his beard trimmed right before the game. He got a new haircut before every single game.
Yeah.
No. Back when he was just a big oaf was when he was great. I want big oaf, greasy hair. I want to be able to smell him through the TV. That's what I want in my tight ends. I want to question if he's got a drinking problem or not. All of those things are important for good tight ends.
Who's the Iowa tight end this year that's coming out? They always have one.
They don't have one this year.
What?
They don't have one this year. That not that I can recall.
Do we have a Stanford tight end coming out this year?
There are no Stanford tight ends. Wait. Let me pull up my.
Well, those are my 2 tight end U's.
Well, you don't need to go to Mitchell Evans. You could get Notre Dame tight end U. Although a little too studious. I'll put your hand down. Put your hand down, dickhead.
Waiting to see Mayer do something.
Mayer hasn't done anything. Maybe you could trade for him. Gunnar Helm actually could kind of fit that, but I'm trying to think of who. Oh, Luke Leachy's actually in this class. I completely forgot. I didn't think he declared. Ryan's giving me shit because I'm supposed to know that. Tyler Warren's definitely to that furthest degree.
It's not just tight end though. We want a tight end, but they need everything. They need a running. I can't watch them go this year without drafting. They might need to draft the running back first round. It was so bad in the backfield. It really was.
I think here's the Elijah Arroyo doesn't really fit what I'm pitching here for a tight end because he's tall and athletic and he can move. I think that the perfect draft for them would be Ashton Genty and then followed up with Arroyo in the second round or third round. Like that would, your offense would have they need speed. They need athleticism. They need vision that they would get from Ashton Genty, just someone who is going to be able to create home run threats. They don't have that. It's just a bunch of bums.
God, who is the God, I like that Miami tight end a lot, but
Arroyo.
I'd be worried of him turning into Anthony Fasano when he was on the Cowboys and stinking it up.
Why do you think of Anthony Fasano?
He was the last bad Cowboys tight end I thought of that wasn't Jake Ferguson.
Yeah, but they're not similar though. Anthony Fasano, former Notre Dame tight end, also.
Was he really?
Yeah, he's from the Verona, New Jersey.
What?
Which is nearby. Yeah, he's from very close by.
I had no clue.
Yeah. All right, folks, we're getting to our reoccurring segments that we do every single week. We've got Hell Yeah of the Week, Get After the Week, where we pitch something that we thought was awesome this week, and then inversely, somebody who got completely dunked on. Let's start with Hell Yeah of the Week.
This is the Hack City Hell Yeah of the Week. Cue the lasers.
All right, your Hell Yeah of the Week. You want to go first?
My Hell Yeah of the Week. Let's just get on with it. The football players as the best athletes in the world. That narrative will continue, as I think Tyreek Hill very well may be the best athlete we have on the planet. Breaks a world record of time around the bases, absolutely hitting on every baseball player that's ever lived. Previous record was 13.3 seconds. You can give him a little bit of flack because it was on a turf field, but he ends up running around the full home to home, 12.06 seconds. Let it be known, Big Andy here had a home to first, I think, clocking in at times at 6.93 seconds.
Wait, what was Hill's time?
Hill's time, 12.06 seconds. 90 feet.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to be anywhere close to him.
30 yards from each base to base. Unbelievable how fast this man is. It was just for, I think, a YouTuber that just decided to post this. And Tyreek Hill is so athletic. He's doing side quests, absolutely decimating all other athletes. I mean, baseball has fast guys. Trey Turner, very fast. Mookie Betts, very fast. Ellie De La Cruz, saw him when he came in. Oh, how fast is this guy? Oh, he's just lightning around the bases. Well, we got a 5'10" guy in Miami that can squat 600 pounds that just beat out every single possible baseball player that's going. I'd like to see it. Any of this Tyreek Hill racing Noah Lyles, I want to see it all.
That's what I want to see. I don't know if I'm like truly impressed of him being faster than a bunch of baseball players. Because you don't need to be like fast to be a good baseball player. You need to be fast to be a good wide receiver. You need to be fast to be good in track and field. I want to see him race Noah Lyles. I'm tired of this BS where they keep, flirting with each other.
Yeah. I just like that he put a whole league underneath him in athleticism. That's one of the big four leagues we have here in the United States. Done. Nobody in hockey faster than him. No. Nobody in football faster than him. I don't think so. Basketball, I think there might be a couple guys that could challenge him, but that would just be court to court. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do anything impressive with basketball unless he can dunk, and I sincerely doubt that.
I bet he could jam.
He's like 5'10".
I bet Tyreek Hill could jam. Two hand, 2 foot.
What was his vert at the combine?
Oh, let me see.
He would need a 40-inch plus vert if he could dunk. Because Nate Robb had a crazy vertical. He was like a 44 or something like that. I think he had one of the best verticals ever. And that's who we're comparing him to, though. Like that, the physical comparison.
BMI 28.7 BMI.
Yeah, that's not what I asked for.
That's not great.
That's not what I asked for.
That jumped out at me. I'm trying to find my vert here. Vertical leap, not available. Why would it be?
Okay.
That's awesome.
My hell yeah.
40.5.
Okay,
that was his pro day.
Maybe he could jam. My hell yeah of the week. Early in the week, it circulated a lot. This gigantic Russian dude who's a member of the Russian parliament, Nikolai Vulev. It was. I just got to show the picture of what he looks like. This guy's head is awesome.
Yeah,
the way that this guy looks like.
That's a man frozen in time.
I mean, this is just one of the coolest. Just like look at that. He's a walking Giga Chad. He's also, did you know he's 7 foot and he's 331 pounds?
That is a giant that they pulled out of the mountains in Russia.
He's 50. I like to believe that this guy like doesn't even speak. Like I like to believe he just kind of sits there and he just got the role because he just showed up to one meeting and sat there and didn't speak, and enough people were kind of just assumed like, yeah, this guy kind of gets it. He looks like he understands what's going on, and he gives me a very calming feel just seeing how stoic and stone-headed he looks. He must know what's going on.
I think it's very disarming for the room to know that there's one guy that would be the problem, and that if something broke out, it would be a whole room versus one. That's very disarming.
That's not how I'm looking at it, though. I'm looking at it in like he could command a room by like this is all-time aura. He's maxed out on aura points.
Maxed out aura. All these VTubers, you're not even close. I'm glad you got your designer shirt and your pearl necklace. You look at this guy in Russian Parliament, and you tell me you think you could walk into the same bar as him and out aura max him. Not even close.
It's probably one of my favorite hell yeahs of the week, and this is like the antithesis of it. It's just like, what's the dumbest thing that I verbally out loud or like very quickly, the first thought in my head was like, hell yeah, that's fucking awesome.
I mean, he's a Cro-Magnon. He's a Cro-Magnon man. And I've had relatives that have had nicknames before. Has gone by Cro-Magnon man in their
yeah, but
youth.
it's not like
it's the forehead, it's the pointy head, it's all of it. It's perfect. He's perfect.
Wait. The thing that I didn't appreciate is that a lot of people were just being like, oh, it looks like a big Neanderthal. No. We're not doing him justice by referring to him that way. I think that a lot of people are trying to dumb him down when I'm trying to lift him up. I think that he puts off an energy that is something that nobody else on this planet can touch. I think it's just the stoic feel that he puts off. I don't see stupidity. I see steadiness.
Solidarity.
No, that's not the right word. Steadiness is where I would go with that.
I want to see a giant.
He's very solid, not solidarity, but solid.
What is that? No, I'm not thinking of solidarity. What am I thinking of? Whatever. Steadfast, maybe.
Steadfast is probably right.
I want to see a Giants convention. I want to see the pitch that the caller gave Mike Francesa, where the Giants meet up because they both all named Giants.
So we're just going to gather the biggest people that we can find.
6'10" and above. We're going to find King of the Giants. And
okay.
That guy is in the running. He's in the running, and anybody, basketball, anybody that's 6'10" and above, we're all going to meet. Where should we meet? It's got to be somewhere high
top
above.
of a mountain.
We're going to meet in Iceland, land of the Giants.
Okay.
And then everyone's going to – we're not going to do like some big boxing match or fight, but it's almost going to be like an IQ test, like what they had in Men in Black, where everyone's kind of got the challenges. You're going to work around it, see who's really king of the Giants, and then they're the world leader. Because
I think that's how we should be determining things.
The most capable giant in the world that nobody can beat in hand-to-hand combat, that is also the smartest.
Yeah,
that's who we're.
I would follow that guy specifically. If he ran for president and didn't give a single speech, I would vote for him.
Oh, you're touching down? What, you want music? You want art? You want culture?
You
landed a UFO? No, here's our leader right here. That's him. That's the best we got.
We really lost the plot a long time ago with allowing people to lead us. Back in like the early days of humanity, it was, hey, who's the biggest, toughest, meanest dude that we can find?
Yeah.
He's leading us into battle. No, it went astray with kings and then their offspring just being inbred and fickle and just ill all the time. And then we suddenly became okay with just going with any dope. There needs to be a physical fitness requirement and a scariness requirement to appearance.
You think a doctor's ever said, hey, sir, I think you need some glasses? He would actually crumple them up like a paper ball, like a piece of paper and shoot them into the basket.
All right, let's get F to the week.
Get help?
I broke my knee, man.
No. Get F'd.
Ice up, son.
It's the Hack City Get F'd of the week.
All right, what's your get F of the week?
My get F of the week, first of all, I broke my knee man in that clip. Saw him do stand-up comedy last Wednesday.
Oh,
yeah. Saw
okay.
Bobby Kelly, tore the house down.
Okay.
Hilarious. DM'd them a very sappy text.
Or DM'd
them on Instagram. Yeah, he said, thanks, Sean. I said, oh, that made my week. I was happy that he got back to me. You know what? No, he did a great set. It was funny.
Okay.
But yeah, I was happy to see that. And I'll always incorporate I broke my knee, man. My get after the week, Severance. I'm sick of hearing about it. I am out on Severance. I'm going to watch it after the season season 2, I guess, is over. I love that there's like
You're enough to a bad start. Why are you like continue? You're succumbing to the peer pressure of watching the show.
Yeah, but I'm not going to everyone's texting everyone's tweeting, "Oh, the Severance. Oh, Severance is so good. I can't hide my boner. It's so good. I love this show. I love seeing people in an office and they stay in the office and they're trapped in an office and they got to wear suits because it's a show about work." I hate shows about art, and I hate shows about nature or violence. I love shows about The Office. I love shows about coworkers. I can't stand it. I can't stand what Severance is. I can't stand that everyone loves that it's just sci-fi Deloitte. That is not a show that I am interested in, and I won't be until this season is over. That's where I'm going to be.
But why are you? This is where I'm off. You gave me 90% of a good take of this show doesn't seem as interesting as you're making it. I hate the premise of like
I do
dissociation from work and why everyone's acting like it's a big deal because you walk into your job and you hate it, and then so that's why you feel associated with this. It's why you like The Office so much. But then you are just folding and going, yeah, but I'm going to watch it even though you didn't watch the first season.
I think it's
the way that you're holding out is waiting until the season's over. The timing of it doesn't matter.
I'm still too annoyed to be involved in the weekly episode discourse. Like it's still too irritating. Like once I got to let it grow on me. I can't be in that initial like flock of rubes that are just swept away by any schlock that is dropped on their doorstep through a streaming service. Like I got to let it grow. I got to get my sources.
Don't watch it.
I think it might actually be good. I have to give it a fair shot. I can't just ramble and not give it a fair shot.
No.
But I have to
do what I do. If I don't want to be a part of some dumb shit like Game of Thrones, don't feel like watching it.
Still out
That's
on
it.
that, by
Everyone tells me it's great. I don't feel like watching it. I'm not going to watch it. Stick by that.
I gave that House of the Dragon show a full season. I'm like
full season,
first season. And everyone's like, God, this is so cinema. And it's just a bunch of aunts and uncles banging each other. And it's just like, is everyone just digging incest? Is everyone this is what everyone likes? Oh no, it was a different time. And look, it's so gory.
I don't know if it was a time that actually existed.
They're trying to make it exist. And I can't stand. I will not tap back into Game of Thrones. I'll watch it in my 40s if I got a kid that's a dork, and I'll watch it with them.
My Get After the Week is directed at a lot of the media industry and how they cover football. Dominic Foxworth, who does a show, he's an ESPN analyst, and he now does a podcast. I don't know if anyone's ever listened to it or not, but he had on Brian Curtis of The Ringer, and he also had, I don't know, it was just Brian Curtis. They were having a discussion after the Super Bowl talking about how media members cover the sport and how there is this lost in translation effort on how working in the media is how it's done. The quote from Brian Curtis of The Ringer said, "Football is for everybody. You have to make sure everybody knows what you're talking about." There's a lot of great football podcasts I listen to, and I'm like, I kind of lost the plot 2 minutes ago. Foxworth also said during this segment, the reason why you get into sports and why you get into sports media is because you're watching games and you're thinking, that's dope.
Yeah,
that's cool. This shit's cool. It's as simple as that. I think that, and I tweeted this out, it feels like a lot of times, a lot of shows and a lot of people on Twitter are constantly producing content in order to prove to other media members that they know as much as them or they know more than them. It feels like it is constantly this effort to be like, well, I actually like really know this super detailed piece of information about the game that you didn't notice. It's not analyzing to break things down to simplify it for your audience that just wants to be a part of the conversation on the most simplest degree possible. Instead, this is how the Ben Solaks and the Mina Kimeses of the world were created, because they are really playing into the jargonization of the sport. And that was something else that was talked about with Pablo Torre during the regular season. It's this overly in the weeds way of explaining things that I think a lot of people that actually played football wouldn't explain it that way.
No.
I am, and the way that I've always tried to be about myself, and why I honestly credit a lot of my growth over the past 2 years, is I try to just be as simple as possible. Like if I was sitting in a bar with somebody and I just go look at all the tweets that I have of the film that I post, there is no really dug in. This is what this guy does that is like so unreal. And
you're
like,
not talking about separation yardage per route per season.
Yes. Like you see all that crap. Like, well, when he runs these routes, this is where he finds success, but he's actually a little weak when he's coming over this dude's fast and he's got good hands.
Yeah.
And if you want to act like I'm dumbing it down too much, the average individual that wants to know who his team's going to be drafting, that's all they want to know. Is this guy good? Is he athletic? Does he do cool shit that I can be excited about when I'm watching the games? This to me was a really big get F to a lot of the football media and media in general, because I think so many don't produce media for actual people. They produce it to prove themselves to others.
Yeah, they like hearing themselves talk.
Yeah.
I hate hearing myself try to speak analytically about football. I know we could both do it. We could both break down offense, defense, whatever we need to, but that's boring to me. That feels like I'm in the meeting room with my coach and I have to give a perfect answer, because if not, I'll get chewed out. And it feels like I'm going back up to the board with all the pressure all over again. Draw up the blitz, Anderson. Go ahead, Smoke. Draw it up. What is it? I'm like, oh, okay, I'll give it to you, but it's not fun. I like talking narrative football. I think that is the fun angle. And I think the reason I like working on CFE so much was because Dan was like, is great at Dan Wetzel, fantastic at laying out narrative, why it's important, how does it impact the sport, and then we could talk about what makes it fun. Then that's like, that has made a huge impact on me, and not trying to be arrogant football guy just because you played and because it was a job for you for a while. If you treated it as such, it's like listening to somebody come home from work. Nobody wants to hear about your slide packages and what you have to do against a spinner in a 3rd and medium set. No, that sucks.
I don't think a lot of people even, I think one of the craziest parts, and a lot of times when you listen to these either analytics nerds or these like super, I wouldn't classify it as like film junkies, because there's people that watch a lot of film that are good about conveying it. And I know Ryan's active in the chat right now. Ryan is one of these people that's good at just, here's what I'm seeing, here's what you should know about a guy. He's very to the point. I think that is to Ryan's credit, even though he's being negative in the chat.
Whoa, yeah, that he is being negative.
Yeah.
My TV show takes are good, Ryan. What are you talking about?
Those that get really just overly deep in trying to explain how things happen on the field, it is to an audience that doesn't have access to a lot of the things that you're trying to illustrate. They don't have access to, and they don't understand how to evaluate all 22 film. They don't have access or an understanding of how to like really get deep analytics. They don't. They just want to know, why did the game go the way that it did? What does this mean for a certain player's future or his past? Can we have the debate of like, where do certain guys stand? The media industry is a mess right now overall, because there's such an ease to starting podcasts, and more of these networks are grabbing and latching onto these guys that are over explainers, and they keep just giving them all podcasts. Eventually there is going to be a cutoff point, and I think eventually a lot of those people are going to die off, but we just kind of have to suffer through it.
Yeah, it's just chipping away. Frustratingly, as much as it is, I just don't get the allure. It's never something that's grabbed me and said, I want to learn about football. I'm going to listen to people that haven't played. Like, that's just not where I learned.
That's one of the weirdest parts about it, is a lot of the times those that are the over explainers are the ones that didn't play. I don't know why many people would be really excited about that. Like, man, I can't wait to hear this, or at least
because they think they're an
or
avatar.
was a part of a scouting department.
They're an avatar for them. And as such a big football fan, and it's fine. I'm fine with everybody being a football fan.
Yeah.
But these people that are pushing out this narrative, I'm smarter than you. Go be a coach then.
Right.
Go be a GA. Teams need GAs.
Right,
Every school needs a GA.
That's the whole bit with this, is that, again, I'm going to keep calling them over explainers. The over explainers, they aren't good enough to coach. They aren't good enough to do any of
Why
those
not?
things.
They're so
but
smart, Joe.
The way that they talk and they communicate is to prove that they're smarter than everybody else. It's so odd to me, and it should be something that's studied. That's obviously not going to happen.
You know why they do it? Because it's easy to sit on a podcast and do. You're not Emil Lamarca at Holy Cross or Jake Fire at UMass GAing it up with
getting
the position
screamed
group.
at.
Yeah, getting screamed at, printing scout papers, running the scout team, knowing every single in and out of a football team and how it impacts game day. You haven't done it. You like you like a law school guy that's into sports, and you like crafting that type of argument and just doing that. I can't that way that it does not flow for my brain very well, and I'm sure my speak doesn't flow very well for their brains either.
All right, let's get to the hack bag. Reminder, call in 201-834-4308. Call in with your questions, thoughts, whatever it is. We never Actually, I'm not going to say that. We will play most voicemails as long as it's appropriate. We want more voicemails. We don't want to just read Twitter questions, even though we got some great Twitter questions. But please call into our voicemail line and leave us a message. But here is the Hackback.
The mail never stops.
This is the Hack Bag. Hit us on Twitter for questions or call at 201-834-4308.
Get the song. Huh? Where'd you get the song? I know I talked
Stole
over
it.
Oh.
Yeah, I stole
what the hell?
Free, it's free.
Did you hear the sound?
Creative Commons, all that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right, first question that we have from Dan, my man. Why don't any teams wear pink as their main or secondary color? It's like Miami FC and nobody else, not even college football, because it's ugly as shit.
Oh.
Would anyone be intimidated by a pink football team? No. I don't have more of an answer than that. That's an awful color take.
It works.
The worst sports color.
Yeah, it works in Miami. It's a Miami color. When the Heat threw out their Miami Vice jerseys.
Yeah, but you got to do the Vice theme. You can't just do pink.
Yeah, I don't know what I would pair with pink. It doesn't. It's not black and pink. I see that trotting on the field. Like I just don't think like somehow purple has gotten away with it. I think that the Minnesota,
a good purple looks good.
But the Minnesota Vikings had the most effeminate jerseys I've seen in my life this year when they broke out the white on white helmet with the little purple accents. The purple looked lavender there. I think that's as close to pink as we're getting in the league. But Dan, I like the pink accents that we got for like Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I thought when guys did that, I thought it was a nice touch. It did add, but
main color, pink is a no-go.
It's not
women's sports. It's fine, but like you're trying to
there aren't even a lot of
women's
teams with pink. Like going through the WNBA teams.
No,
I'm not thinking of any teams
that have pink
at the top of my head. It's just not a sports color.
Next question that we have from Brendan. Why don't you two go to the FCS Natty in Nashville next year? So you shit on Nashville, and I said I wanted to give it a chance. I agree with this. I forgot that there are multiple locations for the next couple of years because of renovations that are being done to the Frisco location.
Yeah.
So I think that now that I'm no longer shackled by the having to be a producer, you still are. But I think that I could pitch this. Sports Geek said that they would let me travel to every so often to a couple of things if I produce some content there. I think that we could pitch this as a fun content trip, and I can incorporate you in that content.
I think by then, the big OK might give me the OK to scurry on down to Nashville because they have offices there, and I don't know, FCS voter. Maybe I'll have a little more due respect at that time to go do some coverage. But look, it's in Nashville. I think that going to Frisco is a good move for the show. If it was in Frisco, I think it is due time, FCS listeners. I think it's due time that we have made an appearance at an FCS national championship game and made the presence felt. And it's coming. I know it's happening. The hacks are being hacks, and we make fun of the photos with all the fat faces next to each other. I want to be one of the fat faces next year.
I would love to.
I want to be a fat face
Nashville
amongst the bunch.
Will be exciting.
Jamie Williams, not allowed to wear a JMU sweatshirt, though. If I meet that is my one stipulation for going, JMU gear at the FCS championship game.
Rack, Sean's sitting next to me. He asked, are you guys in rooms next to each other? He's sitting like I can. Yeah. My hand is now in front of the camera. We're actually going to do
right there.
Okay, that's disturbing. We're actually going to do what if I wasn't wearing pants and you did that? You could have aired me out. Yeah. We could have been off the air. We're actually going to be reorganizing our setup. We're going to move into the living room for when we do this show. So it should be we'll be facing each other, and instead of me having a conversation to somebody who's to my side. Ryan, no, you cannot come. And then Ryan asks, will you guys be in Worcestershire for the Holy Cross URI game this year? Maybe. It just depends because I want to make it to a roadie game before we go to a Holy Cross game. I think it's going to wrap us up on. Folks, remember, give us your questions at Hack City Pod
201-834-4308.
4308. I close my notes down to call in and leave a voicemail. Hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.